In Boston's fog, a simple woman enters the Hawthorne estate, grieving her lover's death in a tragic crash. A cryptic letter thrusts her into a deadly game of inheritance with a wealthy dynasty. "Who are you, wretched pauper?" the elite sneer, plotting to destroy her over an engagement ring. But is her lover truly gone? And what secrets hide in the pharmaceutical empire's shadows? Can love triumph over greed? Like and subscribe to Diary Women's story for the surprise. A stranger in the storm. The Hawthorne estate loomed like a gray specter through the Boston fog, its stone towers clawing at the low clouds. Nestled in the suburbs of Massachusetts, the mansion's Gothic windows and ivy-choked walls whispered of old money and older secrets. Inside, the air was thick with the scent of polished mahogany and wilting lilies, a stage set for the reading of William Hartley's will. The billionaire pharmaceutical magnate was presumed dead, lost in a plane crash over the Atlantic just 10 days ago. His family, a constellation of vultures in tailored suits and silk gowns, gathered in the grand hall, their whispers sharp as knives. Clara Bennett stood at the threshold, clutching a letter from the estate's lawyer. Her white dress, soft and flowing, clung to her frame, a gift from William for their 1-year anniversary. Its simple elegance, sleeveless, with a delicate lace hem, marked her as an outsider among the glittering crowd. Her brown hair fell in loose waves, framing green eyes clouded with grief. At 34, Clara, a former elementary school teacher, carried the weight of a broken heart. William, her fiancé, had proposed under a starlit oak, slipping a silver ring onto her finger. "You're my forever, Clara," he'd said, his voice a vow. A week later, news of the crash shattered her world. The letter in her hand trembled. "Your presence is requested at the reading of William Hartley's will." It read, signed by Edward Price. Esq. Clara didn't understand why. She hadn't known William was a Hartley, heir to a pharmaceutical empire. To her, he was Will, the man who brought her coffee in bed, who read her poetry by the Charles River. Their love was a quiet symphony walks in the rain, handwritten notes tucked in her books, a secret wedding planned to keep her safe from his family's scrutiny. Now, standing in this den of wealth, she felt like a sparrow in a storm, invited for reasons unknown. As Clara stepped into the hall, a crystal chandelier flickered, casting jagged shadows. A low creak echoed from the walls, like a door opening in the bowels of the estate. No one noticed but Clara, whose fingers tightened around the letter, her pulse quickening. Something was wrong here, something beyond her grief. The crowd of 15 heirs turned, their eyes slicing through her. Sophie Wells, William's niece, a socialite with a diamond choker and a venomous smile, spoke first. "Who let the charity case in?" she sneered, her voice carrying over the clink of champagne glasses. "Look at her, some thrift store waif in a cheap white rag. What's she doing here? Applying to clean the floors." Clara's cheeks burned, but she held her ground, the white dress a shield of memory. "I was invited," she said softly, holding up the letter. Her voice, steady despite her trembling hands, drew a scoff from Ethan Grant, William's cousin, his cufflinks glinting as he leaned against a marble pillar. "Invited?" Ethan barked a laugh. "You? A nobody teacher scraping by on a peasant's wage? This is the Hartley estate, sweetheart, not a soup kitchen. Take your dollar store dress and get out before you embarrass yourself further." The room erupted in cruel chuckles. Margaret Crane, a steely business partner in a black velvet gown, stepped forward, her pearls gleaming like teeth. "Pathetic," she spat. "You look like you crawled out of a tenement, clutching that crumpled letter like it means something. People like you grubby. Common folk don't belong in our world. What's next, claiming you knew William?" Clara's heart twisted. "I didn't know him," she said, her voice breaking. "I loved him." She touched the silver ring on her finger, the one William gave her when he proposed. The crowd's laughter grew louder, a chorus of disdain. "Loved him?" Sophie mocked, tossing her blonde curls. "Oh, please. You're delusional. William Hartley. Marrying a low-class nobody? You're not even fit to polish his shoes. That ring's probably fake, bought from a pawn shop to scam your way in. Clara's eyes stung, but before she could respond, a sharp crack like glass shattering came from the staircase leading to the basement. The crowd ignored it, too busy jeering, but Clara's gaze darted to the shadows. A figure moved briefly, a man in a gray coat, slipping out of sight. Her stomach knotted. Who was watching her? Margaret closed in, her voice a hiss. You're a fraud, Miss Bennet. A filthy opportunist, thinking you can waltz into our family's legacy. Working-class trash, like you always wants a handout. Tell me, did you practice that sad little act in front of a mirror? Clara's hand shook, the letter crumpling in her grip. I'm here because I was asked, she said, her voice rising. I don't want your money. I want to know why William wanted me here. Ethan snorted, swirling his scotch. William? You dare use his name? You're nothing but a leech, sniffing around for scraps. People like you barely scraping by. Teaching snotty kids for pennies disgusts me. Get out, or I'll have security drag you back to whatever slum you came from. The words cut deeper than Clara expected, each insult a lash against her pride. She thought of her students, their gap-toothed smiles, the way she'd read them stories to spark dreams. She thought of William, his hand in hers, promising a life built on love, not wealth. Her grief surged, but so did her resolve. She wouldn't run. As the taunts continued, Clara noticed Sophie whispering to Margaret, their eyes glinting with malice. Sophie pulled out her phone, snapping a photo of Clara. Let's make her famous, she said loudly. Caption: Boston's saddest gold digger crashes, Hartley will reading. Watch her cry when this goes viral. The crowd cheered, phones flashing. Clara's heart pounded. She was a spectacle, a target. Edward Price, the lawyer, entered, his gaunt face unreadable. He carried a sealed envelope, the Hartley crest a blooming iris stamped in gold. We are here to read William Hartley's last will, he announced, his voice cutting through the jeers. The room hushed, but the air crackled with greed. Clara stood at the back, her white dress glowing faintly under the chandelier, a beacon of defiance. Price's eyes met hers, lingering a moment too long. Miss Bennet, he said, you were specifically requested to attend. The crowd gasped, then exploded in outrage. Huh? Ethan roared. That pauper? This is an insult to our bloodline. She's a nobody, a street rat in a hand-me-down dress, here to steal what's ours. Margaret's voice was ice. She's a liar, Edward. Look at her poor, plain, pathetic. She's got no place among us. Whatever she's holding, it's a fake. Probably forged that letter to con her way in. Clara's throat tightened, but she stepped forward, the letter outstretched. This is real, she said, her voice clear despite the tears threatening to spill. William meant something to me. I don't know why I'm here, but I won't let you erase him from my heart. Sophie laughed, venomous. Heart? You're just a broke dreamer, thinking love gets you a billionaire's fortune. Wake up, honey. You're out of your league, way down in the dirt with the rest of the common scum. Before Price could respond, a muffled thud echoed from the basement, like a heavy object falling. Clara's eyes darted to the staircase again. The man in the gray coat, was he still there? Her ring felt warm against her skin, as if urging her to stay alert. Something was coming, something darker than the insults. Price raised a hand, silencing the room. The will requires a key, he said. A token of William's trust. Without it, no one inherits. His gaze flickered to Clara's hand, to the ring. The crowd turned, eyes narrowing. Sophie's smile vanished. That ring, she hissed. She stole it, didn't she? A filthy teacher like her, wearing William's jewelry? It's a crime. Margaret advanced, her voice low and dangerous. Give it up, Clara. You're not fooling anyone. Hand over that ring, or we'll make sure you regret stepping into this house. Clara clutched her hand to her chest, the ring William's promise her only anchor. You can't take him from me, she whispered, her voice breaking. But as the crowd closed in, their insults a rising tide, she felt a chill. The thud from the basement came again, louder, closer. Betrayal in the shadows. Clara Bennett stood in the Hawthorne Estate's grand hall, her white dress catching the chandelier's dim glow. The lace hem, torn from her struggle to stand tall, marked her as an outsider among the heir's silks and suits. Her green eyes burned with grief for William Hartley, her fiancé, lost in a plane crash 10 days ago. The silver engagement ring on her finger, his vow of love, was her only shield against the venom of the 15 heirs. Edward Price's letter, now creased in her hand, had summoned her to this will reading, but why? She didn't know William was a billionaire, only that he was her will, her heart. Sophie Wells, William's niece, circled her like a shark, her diamond earrings flashing. Still here, beggar? She spat. You think that knockoff ring fools us? A street teacher like you, scraping by on pennies, dares to taint our legacy? Crawl back to your rat hole. Clara's voice trembled, but held firm. I'm here because William wanted me to be. Her words sparked a snarl from Ethan Grant, William's cousin, his tie askew from rage. William, you dare speak his name? You filthy laborer? You're a stain on this house, dressed like a pauper's ghost. People like you belong in ditches, not mansions. Margaret Crane, a business partner with a voice like frost, closed in. You're a leech, Clara, a common drudge, thinking tears will win you billions. Your kind grubby, worthless sickens me. Hand over that ring, or we'll bury you with your lies. Clara clutched the ring, her heart racing. It's mine. William gave it to me. The crowd's laughter was a blade, but Sophie's next move cut deeper. She yanked Clara's wrist, twisting until she gasped. Stolen, you mean? Sophie hissed. A slum rat like you, wearing his jewelry? You'll pay for this scam. A metallic clank rang from the basement staircase, sharp and deliberate, like a lock turning. Clara's eyes darted to the shadows, where the man in the gray coat had slipped earlier. The heirs didn't flinch, but her pulse surged. Someone was setting a trap. Edward Price, the lawyer, raised the will, his voice steady. Miss Bennett's role is vital. The estate's $60 billion goes to one, chosen by a token of William's trust. His gaze lingered on Clara's ring, igniting fury. Ethan slammed his fist on a table. That tramp? She's a thief. That ring's ours, not some beggar's bauble. Margaret's eyes glinted. She's a con, she said. A lowlife fraud, faking love to steal our birthright. We'll prove she's nothing but dirt. Sophie nodded, whispering to Ethan, their glances venomous. Clara caught Margaret's murmur. The basement. Get rid of her. Ethan slipped a folded paper from his pocket, passing it to a guard. Clara's stomach knotted. They were framing her, and the ring, her only tie to William, was their target. She stepped back, but Sophie blocked her. Going somewhere, trash? She taunted. You're not escaping with our fortune. Price continued. The token unlocks the will. Before Clara could speak, Ethan shouted, Search her. She stole that ring. The guard, bribed by Margaret, rummaged through Clara's bag, pulling out a forged note. Pawn Hartley ring, black market. The crowd roared. Thief! Sophie shrieked. You thought you could rob us, you gutter snipe? You're finished. Clara's voice broke. I didn't write that. William loved me. Ethan grabbed her arm, his grip bruising. Love? A billionaire and a penniless nobody? You're delusional, fit only for sweeping streets. Confess, or we'll make you. Margaret's voice was ice. Take her to the basement. We'll question her. The guard dragged Clara toward the staircase, her dress catching on the stone. She screamed. You're wrong about me. Sophie laughed, her voice cruel. Wrong? Poor scum like you always lies. You'll vanish, and no one will care. The basement door creaked open, revealing a damp, shadowed room. The guard shoved Clara inside, the lock clicking shut. Dust choked the air, and a leaking pipe dripped, pooling on the floor. Clara pounded the door, her cries muffled. Sophie's taunt echoed. Rot there, teacher. Your kind's only good for graves. Alone, Clara sank to her knees, her dress streaked with grime. She clutched the ring, whispering, William, help me. A memory flashed, his arms around her, promising, You're stronger than you think. Her grief battled her resolve. She wasn't their pawn. A soft scrape came from the wall, like metal on stone. Clara froze, spotting a carved iris like her ring. She pressed it, and a panel slid open, revealing a narrow tunnel. But the door rattled. Someone was unlocking it. Her heart raced. Escape or face her captors? She crawled through, emerging in a hidden chamber. A safe stood, its lock iris-shaped. Her ring clicked inside, opening it to reveal a USB and a letter. Trembling, Clara plugged the USB into a dusty console. William's face appeared, alive. Clara, I'm not dead, he said, voice urgent. I hid to expose the Iris Syndicate, poisoning thousands through my company. You're my trust, my love. Keep the ring safe. Tears streamed down Clara's face as she read the letter. I hid my name to protect you. You're my everything. The door burst open, and William stood there, his eyes blazing with love. Clara, he cried, pulling her into his arms, her dress soft against his coat. Margaret stormed in, exposed by William's hidden cameras. She's a liar, Margaret screamed, but William faced the airs, his voice thunder. Clara's my wife, chosen by love, not greed. You framed her, shamed her, for money. You're no family. He banished them, sparing only Mary, the gardener who'd offered Clara kindness, and Liam, the engineer who'd signaled her to the basement. Clara gripped William's hand, voice soft. Why hide from me? He knelt, eyes wet. To keep you safe. Forgive me. She kissed him, whispering, You're my home. A final clank echoed below. The letter's last line burned. The syndicate's beneath us. Their love was their shield, but the fight was just beginning. Truth in the fire. Clara Bennett's heart thundered as she clung to William Hartley in the hidden chamber beneath the Hawthorne estate. His arms, warm and real, shattered the nightmare of his death 10 days ago. Her white dress, streaked with basement grime, hung like a tattered banner of their love, its lace hem a testament to their 1-year anniversary. The silver engagement ring on her finger, his vow under a starlit oak, pulsed with meaning. William's voice, raw with guilt, echoed in the dim light. I hid to protect you, Clara. The Iris Syndicate they'd kill for what we've found. The USB in her hand, pulled from the iris-shaped safe, held proof of the Syndicate's crimes. Tainted drugs poisoning thousands. The letter beside it, in William's scrawl, begged her forgiveness for concealing his billionaire identity. But the chamber's stone walls trembled. A deep rumble, like gears grinding, shook the floor. Clara's green eyes darted to the tunnel she'd escaped through, her pulse racing. They're coming, she whispered, gripping William's hand. The heirs Sophie Wells, Ethan Grant, Margaret Crane had framed her as a thief, nearly buried her in the basement. Their greed wasn't just for money, it was for power, tied to the syndicate. A piercing screech, metal tearing, erupted from the tunnel's mouth. Dust rained from the ceiling, and Clara glimpsed a glint steel, moving fast. Someone had triggered a trap, and it wasn't meant for William. It was for her. William pulled her toward a spiral staircase, his voice urgent. We need to face them now. Upstairs. The cameras caught everything, their lies, their plot. Clara nodded, her grief igniting into fire. She'd been a teacher, a nobody in their eyes, But she'd fight for the truth, for William, for the love that had carried her through this storm. They emerged in the grand hall, where the heirs waited, their faces twisted with fury. Sophie, diamonds blazing on her throat, lunged forward, her voice a venomous shriek. "You're alive!" she spat at William, then turned on Clara. "And you filthy urchin, still clinging to that stolen ring? You're a cockroach, scuttling from the slums to steal our empire. Low-born trash like you deserves a cage, not a fortune." Clara's fists clenched, the ring biting into her palm. "I'm here for William, not your money," she said, voice steady. Ethan, his face red with rage, shoved past Sophie, his cufflinks flashing. "You? A street beggar's daughter? Daring to stand here? You're nothing but a parasite, a grubby laborer who'd sell her own kids for a dime. That ring's a fake, and you're a fraud who'd disgrace our name." Margaret, her sable coat sweeping the floor, raised a bony finger. "She's a disease," she hissed. "A common wretch, thinking she can con a Hartley. Your kind penniless, unwashed belongs in the gutters, not our halls. We'll crush you, Clara, and take back what's ours." Clara's breath caught as Ethan pulled a small device from his pocket, its red light blinking. "The basement's rigged," he sneered. "One press, and it collapses. Say goodbye, slum rat." William's hand tightened on hers, his eyes blazing. The heirs weren't just greedy, they were murderers. The crowd's jeers grew deafening, but Clara stood taller, her white dress a defiant glow. "You don't scare me," she said, voice rising. "You mock me because I'm not like you, but I loved William for his heart, not his wallet. Can any of you say the same?" Sophie laughed, vicious. "Heart? You're a deluded pauper, thinking love buys you a billionaire. You're fit for scrubbing toilets, not wearing his ring. We'll burn you out of this house, you worthless leech." Her words lit a fire in Clara's chest, but before she could retort, Edward Price, the lawyer, stepped forward, his face grim. "Enough," Price said, holding the will. "The token Clara's ring unlocks the truth." He inserted the USB into a projector, and William's recorded voice filled the hall. "My heirs betrayed me," he said on screen. "The Iris Syndicate, led by Margaret, Ethan, and Sophie, poisoned thousands for profit. Clara, my love, is my chosen heir, not for wealth, but for her courage." The crowd gasped, but Margaret screamed, "Lies. She's a crook, a filthy commoner who forged that video." Ethan pressed the device, and a low boom shook the estate, the basement collapsing in a cloud of dust. Clara's heart stopped had their trap failed. Or was it a warning? A side door burst open, and the man in the gray coat from Part 1 stormed in, his face scarred, a gun in hand. "You're done, Hartley," he snarled, aiming at Clara. "The syndicate wants her dead." William shoved Clara behind him, but the man's finger tightened on the trigger. Clara's voice rang out, clear and fierce. "You won't win. William trusted me, and I'll fight for him." Her defiance stunned the room, and in that split second, William tackled the gunman, wrestling the weapon free. The heirs screamed, scattering, but Sophie lunged at Clara, claws aimed at her throat. "You'll die, you slum-born rat!" she shrieked, tearing at the white dress. Clara dodged, her ring flashing as she grabbed Sophie's wrist. "You're the rat," she said, voice low. "You'd kill for money, but I'd die for love." William, pinning the gunman, shouted, "Clara, the cameras!" She understood, racing to a console where William's hidden footage played. Margaret planting the forged note, Ethan rigging the basement, Sophie plotting to erase Clara. The heirs froze as their voices echoed. "She's a nobody, easy to bury." Margaret's face paled. "No," she stammered. "She's a liar, a low-class fraud." But William stood, blood on his cheek, and roared. "Clara's my wife, chosen by love, not greed. You framed her, tried to kill her, for your syndicate's blood money. You're no family, you're monsters." Clara's eyes met his, tears falling. "Why didn't you tell me?" she whispered. William dropped to one knee, voice breaking. I hid to save you, but I failed you. Forgive me, my love. She cupped his face, the ring warm between them. You're my everything, she said, their kiss a vow renewed amidst chaos. A final rumble shook the hall, and the projector flickered, revealing a new video. A syndicate leader, masked, vowing, "The Hartleys fall tonight." Clara gripped the letter, its last line searing. The truth lies beneath, where irises bloom. The fight wasn't over. William banished the heirs, their screams fading as guards dragged them out. Only Mary, the gardener who'd shared her shawl, and Liam, the engineer who'd warned Clara, remained. You saw her heart, William said to them. That's family. Clara leaned into him, her dress torn but her spirit whole. We'll face them together, she said, eyes fierce. The rumble grew louder, a door beneath the estate groaning open. Clara's ring glinted, her love for William a beacon. The syndicate waited, but so did their truth, forged in fire. Into the abyss. Clara Bennett's torn white dress clung to her as she stood beside William Hartley in the Hawthorne Estate's grand hall. The air was heavy with dust from the collapsed basement. The echoes of the banished heirs, Sophie Wells, Ethan Grant, Margaret Crane, still ringing in her ears. Their vicious plot to frame Clara as a thief and bury her for the Iris Syndicate's secrets had crumbled under William's hidden cameras. Her silver engagement ring, a pledge of their love, gleamed on her finger, a quiet defiance against the greed that had nearly destroyed her. William's hand, warm in hers, anchored her, but his words from the letter burned. The truth lies beneath, where irises bloom. The syndicate's threat loomed, and the rumble from below the estate grew louder, a pulse of danger. Clara's green eyes met William's, her voice steady despite the fear. We can't stop now. They're still out there. He nodded, his jaw tight. The syndicate's desperate. That video exposed them, but they'll kill to silence us. Mary, the gardener, and Liam, the engineer, stood nearby, their faces pale but resolute. The hall's silence was shattered by a sharp crack wood splintering from the basement stairwell. A low hiss followed, like gas escaping a pipe. Clara's stomach dropped. The syndicate wasn't retreating, they were attacking. William grabbed her arm. They've breached the lower levels. We need to find their hub before they destroy the evidence. The four moved swiftly, descending the staircase into a maze of stone corridors. Clara's dress snagged on jagged walls, but she pressed on, the ring's weight urging her forward. Liam, clutching a flashlight, whispered, I saw blueprints once. There's a sealed vault below. That's where they'd hide. Mary's voice trembled. I heard rumors, experiments, drugs. They used the estate as a front. At the corridor's end, a steel door loomed, its surface etched with an iris. Clara's breath hitched. This is it. William tried the handle, but it was locked. Liam scanned the frame, spotting a keypad. It's coded, he said, but I can bypass it. As he worked, Sophie's voice, venomous, cut through the dark from behind. You're dead, you wretched pauper. Sophie, disheveled but defiant, emerged with two syndicate thugs, their knives glinting. A slum-born nobody, thinking you can ruin us? You're a speck of dirt under our heels, Clara, and we'll crush you like the peasant you are. Her words dripped with elitist rage, her eyes wild. One thug lunged at Clara, his blade slicing the air. William tackled him, but Sophie grabbed a pipe, swinging it at Clara's head. You'll never belong, you filthy commoner, she screamed. Clara dodged, her dress ripping further, and seized Sophie's wrist, twisting until the pipe clattered down. I belong to William, Clara said, voice fierce. That's more than you'll ever have. Mary screamed as the second thug charged, but Liam swung his flashlight, cracking the man's skull. William pinned the first thug, his voice a growl. Where's the vault's code? The thug spat. You're too late. The syndicate's burning everything. A faint chemical smell wafted up, confirming his words. Smoke was rising. Clara's eyes locked on the keypad. The ring's iris design sparked a memory. William's proposal, his whisper. "You're the key to my world." She pressed the ring against the keypad, and it beeped, numbers flashing. "It's a sensor," she said, heart racing. The door clicked open, revealing a vault filled with files, vials, and a laptop glowing with syndicate data. But the smoke thickened, stinging their eyes. William smashed the laptop's drive, grabbing a hard copy of named syndicate leaders, including Margaret. "This ends them," he said, coughing. Clara stuffed files into her dress's torn pocket, but Sophie, freed in the chaos, shrieked, "You'll die, you low-life scum. A teacher's wage can't buy your way out." She hurled a vial, and it shattered, releasing a green mist. Clara gagged, her vision blurring. William scooped Clara up, shouting, "Run!" The group stumbled back through the corridor, the mist burning their lungs. Liam kicked open a side exit, and they spilled into the fog-choked courtyard, gasping. But headlights pierced the haze. A black SUV roared toward them, syndicate enforcers inside. Clara's ring caught the light, a beacon of hope, but the vehicle accelerated, aiming to kill. Clara shoved Mary out of the way, her dress catching on thorns as she fell. William dove, shielding her, and Liam threw a rock, cracking the windshield. The SUV swerved, crashing into a tree. Sirens wailed. Police, alerted by Liam's earlier call, swarmed the estate. Clara clung to William, her voice a whisper. "We made it." He kissed her forehead, his eyes wet. "Because of you." In the aftermath, the police seized the files, exposing the syndicate's network. Margaret, Ethan, and Sophie were arrested, their wealth stripped as victims' families demanded justice. Clara and William stood in the estate's garden, the fog lifting to reveal dawn. Her dress, now a ruin, symbolized their survival. "I should have told you everything," William said, voice raw. "My name, my enemies. I thought I was protecting you." Clara touched his cheek, the ring warm between them. "You gave me love, not lies. That's enough." She paused, her gaze fierce. "But we're not done. Those victims deserve more." William nodded, pulling her close. "We'll fight together for them, for us." Mary approached, her shawl around Clara's shoulders. "You're braver than any of them," she said. Liam, nursing a bruised hand, grinned. "And smarter. That ring trick? Genius." Clara smiled, her heart full. The syndicate's shadow lingered, but so did their resolve. A final envelope, found in the vault, lay in Clara's hand. It read, "The iris blooms where love endures." Inside was a photo of them, laughing in the rain, and a note. "Clara, you're my truth." She looked at William, the man who saw her soul, not her status. "Let's finish this," she said, her voice a vow. The estate stood silent, but the fight was far from over. Clara's ring, their love, was a flame no darkness could extinguish. As they walked into the dawn, hand in hand, the world knew. A heart's worth outshines any crown. A light beyond the storm. Clara Bennett stood on a Boston hill, the autumn wind weaving through her white dress, now mended, its lace hem a quiet echo of William Hartley's love. Months had passed since the Hawthorne estate's shadows parted, revealing the Iris Syndicate's crimes. The USB's evidence-tainted drugs, lives stolen, had toppled their empire. Margaret, Ethan, and Sophie faced justice, their wealth no shield against truth. Clara's ring, William's vow under starlight, shone brighter than their greed. Their love, forged in fire, bloomed anew. William, no longer hiding his Hartley name, rebuilt his company for healing, not profit. Clara, once a teacher, now led a foundation for syndicate victims, her heart a beacon for the broken. Their home, a modest brownstone, hummed with laughter, shared books, and promises kept. At night, William traced her ring, whispering, "You're my forever." Clara smiled, her grief a distant scar, love her strength. No matter your roots pauper, or prince you deserve joy. Clara, mocked as a slum rat, proved a heart's worth outshines status. Love isn't gold. It's courage to hold tight through storms. Happiness belongs to all who dare to dream, who rise above scorn to claim their place. Clara's journey taught us, your past doesn't define you, your choices do. Join Diary Women's Story, our platform to weave a world of kindness and hope. Like and subscribe to support stories that uplift, that remind us every soul is worthy. Share Clara's tale, and let's build happiness together, one heart at a time. Yet, whispers linger. A letter arrived last week, unmarked, with an iris stamp. The Hartleys haven't forgotten, it read. Clara tucked it away, her ring glinting. Revenge may stir, but love will guide her path.